Welcome to another lecture, where we delve into the intricacies of society's foundational structures. I am Professor Alexei.
And I'm Priyanka, a curious doctoral student exploring the nuances of how power shapes our world.
Today we discuss a compelling topic: oligarchy, historical and modern examples. Let's get started.
I think we should start by defining oligarchy as simply as possible. You know, it's a government form where few individuals hold power, often due to wealth or education. Kind of like a boardroom where only a handful make decisions influencing everyone.
Indeed, Priyanka. Scientifically, an oligarchy can be understood as a system where power is concentrated in the hands of a select few, with characteristics such as wealth or social status creating these distinctions. This brings us to discuss related terms: aristocracy, an ostensibly nobler variant, and Mitchell's iron law of oligarchy, which explores how even democratic organizations may evolve oligarchically over time. It is crucial to understand these distinctions to further grasp the dynamics of power concentration.
So why does oligarchy matter? It basically impacts socio-economic policies that tend to favor elites, limiting social progress on a broader scale. The concentration of power often leads to decisions that benefit only a few, leaving the majority without a voice.
Precisely. Historically, oligarchy has often been conflated with aristocracy, although Aristotle critiqued it as a perverted form dominated by greed. This misunderstanding highlights the perils of unchecked power concentration, which can stifle equitable governance and innovation. Let's transition to some interesting facts about oligarchies. The core concept here is power concentrated among a few, not merely politically, but economically as well. Aristotle himself described oligarchy as a rule by the wealthy, driven by self-interest. Furthermore, oligarchies often maintain dominance through control over media and economic levers.
And looking at history, in 1907, George Bernard Shaw critiqued intellectual oligarchy in his play Major Barbara. Then, in the early 1900s, Robert Michels brought up the iron law of oligarchy. And more recently, in 1991, Russian oligarchs began accumulating power following the Soviet Union's dissolution.
In fact, having studied oligarchic processes in post-Soviet regions, it's important to understand the lasting impact of concentrated power. After the Soviet Union's fall, a limited circle of individuals acquired overwhelming economic dominance, significantly affecting Russia's socio-political fabric.
That's quite telling, and it makes me wonder about the larger questions around oligarchy's impact on societies.
Speaking of such questions, one pivotal concern is whether democracy can truly eliminate oligarchic tendencies. Robert Michels posited that democratic systems often morph into oligarchies as they mature. This theory challenges the balance between democratic ideals and necessary bureaucratic stability.
I often think about how democratic systems balance hierarchy with, equitable representation. Can we say that there are effective checks and balances to counteract oligarchic drift?
Indeed, while evidence is mixed, some scholars assert that vigilant reform and strong democratic institutions can act as countermeasures. But, as with many governmental structures, this requires ongoing effort.
Let's consider this. Is the United States functioning as an oligarchy? Some researchers like Simon Johnson and studies by Gillens and Page suggest a strong influence by economic elites in policy making. What if legal reforms could counteract this?
This brings us to the debate focused on the extent of influence wielded by elites in U.S. politics. Transparency initiatives and campaign finance reforms are, theoretically, potential solutions to enhance democratic integrity.
Isn't it interesting how the 2021 Ukraine law aimed to reduce oligarchic influence showed a real effort to change things? How effective are these legal frameworks, though?
Such laws represent steps towards diminishing oligarchic power, yet enforcement remains challenging, especially considering global dynamics and digital age implications. Further research is crucial to fully understand their potential impact. In conclusion, oligarchy, a concept rooted deeply in governance theory, illustrates the continual struggle with power concentration. The challenges for democracies remain multifaceted, requiring vigilance to preserve equitability.
This topic really sets the stage for questions about power, governance, and the impact on everyday people's lives.
Indeed. Further exploration into related systems, such as plutocracy and corporatocracy, can further illuminate these critical issues. Thank you, listeners, for joining us in this examination of oligarchy. We encourage you to continue learning.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Professor Alexei, for sharing your insights.